Okay.
All right, that feels good. This is good. I like that. We're always making new connections with Casey every time we have these little conversations. There's new connections, between the dance backgrounds.
I'll tell you what that's right. It's double. Yeah, I'll tell you what I can wait to have kids. I can definitely wait longer.
I'm ready. I'm ready for it. So,
right.
But yeah, without further ado, let's get ready for this, huh?
Yeah, let's roll.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. In short, they may now be a temptation to relax, for the road has been long, the burden heavy, and the pace consistently urgent, Nick. But we cannot be satisfied to rest here. This is the side of the hill, not the top. We have made a beginning, but we have only begun. I am Wesley Sykes, and through the other side of the ether is the Secretary Treasury to Vibranium Reserve. To my Department of Damage Control board member, it's Nicholas J. Esquire, politician for hire.
You know what? That was the way that was written. It definitely, you had a lot of opportunities to fuck that up. Like the intro part, like the first quote that you did.
I paused a little more. Yeah.
No, you did fine. The quote was a lot, but that was fine. But the selection, the analogy you chose, that was tough. That was a difficult one for you, but you did a great job with it.
Well, I bring that up. That was Sir JFK here, of course, during one of his State of the Union addresses here. And this week, we have recurring guest and superhero sleuth Casey Walsh, the comics kid, on Twitter to flesh out all the news that came out of San Diego Comic-Con and thereafter with a little something that we like to call the State of the MCUnion, Nick. How do you like that for wordplay?
I love the sound of that, and we have Casey with us now, ready to go, brother. How you doing?
Good. I didn't realize we weren't recording that entire other conversation about dance, and I was like, "What's going on right now?"
No, that was just a nice little pre kind of flesh each other out, see how everyone's doing.
How's your father? Dance?
We haven't talked to you in ages. I mean, other than Twitter DMs or replies, this is pretty much it. Even then, we want to stay out of your replies because you're always getting hate in there.
Yeah. Twitter's become unruly for me because I've gotten so many followers at this point. It's just like I can't even respond or see half the shit anymore. I just say shit now and just let it go because I'm trying to respond or read all his messages or replies can be bad for my mental health at some time.
Post and ghost. That's a good rule of thumb. Post and ghost.
Once you hit 10,000 followers, it becomes just all right, I've had enough of you people. Leave me alone.
I'm very happy for you. I think that's good. That's good practice.
Yeah, and I think, with all of this back and forth on Twitter and all these questionings and whatnot that you deal with on a regular basis, I think there's been one topic here that I would like to have, I would like to hear your opinion on. It's something I haven't really heard you spoke out on, and it's one that's very pressing to myself. And where do you stand on jet skis?
Oh, what's the difference between a jet ski and a wave runner? That's the one you stand up on, right? The jet ski.
So maybe I'm showing my hand a little bit. So I think, let's just stop skirting the question and just answer it,
My wife literally last weekend was like, we should buy a wave runner or a jet ski, whatever you call them. And I'm all for it. I live 10 minutes from a lake, so if I had them, I would use them frequently. But alas, one thing I've not bought because of our earlier conversation where I'm spending well over $10,000 a year on my daughter shaking her booty on a stage in front of strangers.
Well, but perhaps you could reallocate some of those funds that we were discussing before, get a nice wave runner, maybe a nice jet ski, whatever suits your preference there. I asked because I just went on one this past weekend as a crow flies and just had a blast.
Right. Do they even make those anymore?
Jet skis are the ones that you stand up in. Those are the ones you stand up on. Wave runners are the ones you sit on.
So I was on a jet ski.
Yeah, apparently.
I think so, but I wasn't. It's not the one that lifts, the handle doesn't lift up on it. We're getting all lost into the weeds on semantics here. Either way, I was on some sort of single apparatus on the water, and it was a great time.
I feel like it was 1998 the last time I saw a jet ski in the wild.
Oh, were you participating in Wave Runner 64? Now I know we're really crossing streams here.
Maybe, I don't know.
Anyways,
right.
Are you ready to get to the real questions, Wes? Because I got one for him right off the rip.
Yes, please do.
Right.
We're on serious mode.
Yes, so we got more of a MCU focus in all this, of course, and obviously we got a ton of stuff Comic Con, stuff that people are surprised about, especially with the frustrations that people have expressed about the MCU in Phase 4, Casey. But one thing we didn't get, of course, we have to start on a negative note. We didn't get anything about live action X-Men. Do you have any idea why that's the case? Is there anything that you've been hearing about what's going on?
I haven't heard anything. I mean, that just kind of tells you, I think, where they're at. As I haven't really heard anything, any rumors about X-Men from anybody, including other people who follow this stuff or others. I guess scoopers. I hate that word, but other journalists. X-Men stuff has not really been a conversation or something that's come up. I think that's kind of what you'll see. I think what you'll see, and maybe what we saw with Kamala Khan, is I think they'll start feeding mutants in the universe and then maybe build to an X-Men a la Avengers type of thing, or maybe we're gonna start seeing a bunch of younger hero characters pop up, and maybe some of them like go to Carmitage and they do magic training, and maybe some go to X Academy and they do X-Men training, and maybe some go to like whatever Shield little group is of children fighters, I don't know, children mercenaries, and they go to the, you know what I mean? So like I think that's what they're kind of doing. And again, you can kind of see the seeds of that now, right? So like the plan now is we're not getting an Avengers film until 2025. Well, why is that? Because they're going to build all these other little tiny teams. So like, again, you'll get your Thunderbolts, you'll get your Midnight Suns, you'll get your Daredevil street level people, you'll get your Young Avengers or whatever, you know what I mean? And then all those little tiny teams will come together for Secret Wars and King Dynasty and however that looks.
Well, so a rumor that I heard swirling around the interwebs was that there was some sort of contractual blockade setting up between Fox and Marvel about not using certain actors and producers from previous shows until like 2025 or something like that.
I don't know about that. It seems suspect for the number of reasons. There's no Jackman's contract would have been over under Logan, so the Wolverine. Hugh Jackman wouldn't be under contract, so I don't know how much that's. I can't imagine that a lot of those original X-Men are under contract still. I mean, maybe there's a chance that the people who were in Dark Phoenix have contractual agreements, but usually those aren't dated by year, they're dated by picture, and usually those will be, there's clauses for those if anything changes hands, you know what I mean? So like you're not necessarily obligated to like honor a contract if it goes to another studio, you know what I mean? So
I think that makes sense to me.
That seems suspect, because again, like what was the reason for Netflix? Because like the Netflix own the rights to the characters. I don't think Fox owns any of that stuff anymore. So like what would stop them from paying, even if it was Simon Kinberg or whatever? They're gonna pay that guy like $1 million to be like, here, we're gonna make this movie, here's the money. Like, what do they care?
Right. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, yeah.
I don't think it behooves them. I think that they have plenty of things in the wings, and they don't have to do the X-Men, and they can stretch that stuff out. I remember everyone was wondering like what are they gonna do after oh my god, Endgame? What's next? What are they gonna do after Endgame? And now we've seen what they're doing after Endgame, and it seems like you can get through that whole phase or that whole section of time and not touch the X-Men at all. You have plenty of stuff to do. Crazy. And then when that's done, I imagine, again, I don't know this for sure, but I imagine when you end Secret Wars, you're going to come out of that with a new MCU, right? Whether it's a conglomerate of battle, like here's my prediction. My prediction is, again, this kind of ends along the same lines as Endgame, but maybe they're going to flip the switch here. Maybe Secret Wars actually ends with Doom winning and creating Battleworld and becoming God Doom. Right? So instead of so that's why it goes Kang and then Secret Wars. Maybe it's a two-hander, right? So like Kang is there, he's the main protagonist or antagonist. He's gonna get us through, he's gonna try to take over time or do whatever he's gonna do. And then by the end of that thing, what's actually happened is Doom has betrayed Kang, taken over his technology, figured out a way to rebuild the universe, and he rebuilds the universe in his image, and that's our snap moment, right?
Love that.
And that's where we end Secret Wars, and now we've come into a new phase, a new era, where it's a brand new MCU. You have all these segregated, I don't know if you call them continents, of heroes or whatever you can call them, and then you can build off of that phase now. So how do we get out of Battle World, or essentially now your next kind of phase in the system? Like I don't see how Galactus, again, other people's like, well, they're gonna do Galactus next. Like I just don't. How do you build a whole phase or a whole era around Galactus? Like it seems like a one-off movie to me. I don't see how you build something. So it has to be much bigger than that, right? It has to be something they can expand on. And then maybe they get, so this phase they've really hunkered down into getting very like back to personal stories. Maybe then we get even more fucking personal, right? You get like your own like X-Men universe, and then at some point that universe is going to have to break off and recombine with the main universe. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but
another theory that I heard that just kind of runs into what you were just saying was that they would maybe try to string out the release of the X-Men, and maybe you don't get an initial X-Men or initial mutants story right off the bat. Maybe it's a Cyclops story, maybe it's a Wolverine story, maybe it's a Professor X story, and then your next big Secret Wars Endgame type crossover event is the X-Men movie.
I mean, I think that's totally possible. I don't know who you could do that with outside of Wolverine, really. I mean, I don't know who's going.
Well, whether that's like TV shows, on Disney Plus or something like that,
But yeah, I agree. I don't think there's going to be like, here's an X-Men movie, boom. I think there's going to be like a discovery of mutants in this MCU world, and they're going to have to kind of deal with that. And by the way they're going to deal with that is like, again, maybe S.H.I.E.L.D. creates their own academy, and maybe magic users create their own academy, and then there's like the Mutant Academy or whatever. So it sounded like that's kind of what they're going. I mean, look what they did with America, right? Where she was sent off to fucking Carmitage. Like, there you go. Like, I think if the X-Men were there, she would have been sent off to, Xavier's school.
Right.
It's wild to think that they're able to do all this. I mean, we've been talking about for a long time how they've taken characters that nobody cared about in the comics, whether you look at Captain America, where you can't sell a Captain America comic right now that Steve Rogers is the central part of, or Iron Man, who no one cared about years ago. You're not even using your most valuable pieces, and you're barely using Spider-Man and all this, and they're just, it's like they're not even breaking a sweat, despite the frustrations people may have with Phase 4. But one thing, Casey, that jumps out, we touched on, or you touched on, Kang Dynasty, Secret Wars. One thing about all that, though, is looks like it's going to take place over 3+ years, where we saw building up to the Infinity Saga and everything like that. That was a 10-year buildup.
Yeah.
Do you think that's too short of a time to execute this like exactly how they want to?
No, again, I think with the addition of Disney Plus, they have this whole other medium where they can tell these stories in, right? So they can get out twice the content. Now, whether that's good from a business or a financial standpoint, I guess only time will tell. Like it already seems like people are being like, all right, I get enough. Like we've had enough of the MCU, and it seems to be waning. But again, I wouldn't put too much stock in their Disney Plus performance just yet. It took them a little while to get their feet under the ground when it came to making movies. I mean, while Iron Man was certainly a good movie, I mean, Iron Man 2, Thor, the Dark World, those things weren't that great. I mean, they were just kind of
even Age of Ultron was kind of panned, right? It wasn't fully well received.
Look at Avengers. I'm gonna get shit for this, but Avengers is like the most basic movie. Like the mid set piece, the mid point set piece is them fixing a fucking plane.
Right.
Like your Avengers they're repairing a helicarrier. Like this is your big and mid action set piece. And then granted that whole third act is amazing, but I don't know how much more impact. What happens if you switch Age of Ultron? I think that Age of Ultron is a much better film overall. It
ages much better.
Yeah, I think that
it really
the Avengers
does.
film that wouldn't be as well received if it wasn't the movie that happened first. You know what I mean? Like I think that it gets away with a lot of like, well, this is the first place this happened, or this is the first. I mean, it looks like a fucking ABC movie in some parts.
Yeah, I got Captain America's suit sticking right out at me there, right? That's pretty tough to watch.
So again, there's growing pains, and I think that you're going to see that stuff with the TV shows. And I think again, Daredevil Reborn seems to be like them figuring it out, right? 18 episodes, that's crazy. Like what streaming has 18 episode season? Like that's insane.
But Casey, do you think that's going to be a half-hour episode a piece, or do you think it's going to be an hour-long episode a piece?
They have to be a half hour.
Okay, good. All right.
Because
I
if
mean,
they
I don't
do the
know,
Netflix model, right? That's where those Netflix shows lost me on. It was the length of the episodes and the seasons overall. It
Not
was,
even that, like 18 episodes an hour a piece. Like you're talking like
It's insane.
I couldn't even. The budget would be like $300 million. It would be crazy.
Great point.
right. Yeah.
Great point
Oh,
on the
yeah.
budget. Didn't even think of that. Great point.
Like that's 18 hours. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Like, and that's high quality. So I mean, like your typical Flash certainly does 22 episode seasons, but I mean, look at the quality we're looking at there. So unless you
Sure.
want something that's that quality, you're gonna have to pay for it. You're looking at paying hundreds, and I think I think WandaVision was 200 million or something. So you'd have to like double that. I could imagine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And granted, you're not dealing with as many special effects, but I don't know. 18. That was the biggest surprise of the whole Comic-Con to me was that 18 episode announcement, because that just seemed the most like out of left field of anything.
Definitely.
Yeah, I thought that it would be broken up into seasons, and they were just saying this is going to be 18 episodes, and then however we decide to break it up, it's going to be that, But so yeah, I agree. I thought that was definitely alarming. Cool. I'm excited to see what they come out of it. But
yeah, I mean, the idea is like we're doing one season and then he's going to go to the movies, and that's what we're doing here. But again, still, like, what did you do? 18 episodes.
Yeah, you got a lot of runway there. Yeah.
Again, I think She-Hulk will be our kind of litmus test for that too, because I think it's 9 episodes, half an hour, and it seems to be again something brand new for them. Like, you know what I mean? It's a straight. I know they've always been like comedy oriented, but it's a straight comedy. It's a sitcom. She breaks the fourth wall. She does all those kind of things, and Daredevil shows up in it. So it'll be kind of a weird litmus test of how all those things are going to interact and mingle with each other, and how well that story moves pace-wise.
Well, you mentioned She-Hulk there. That's going to be our next MCU property that we get on the slate here. A lot has been said about the CGI and maybe the wonkiness of it all. And then, I think there was maybe a Variety article, and maybe I'm getting the outlet wrong there, but about kind of the how the CGI visual artists kind of get done dirty and kind of get the short end of the stick oftentimes. Have you heard anything at all about Marvel maybe kind of boosting up their payroll department for visual effects and kind of giving them some support there?
I have not heard anything, and that article is spot on, and it's been a huge issue industry wide, and it's kind of why there's always been this push for there to be a visual effects artists union. Because again, I completely agree that, especially the way Marvel works, and again, they're not the only culprits. I think they just got they got picked out because they do work on a shorter timeline. They are constantly changing things. Like, usually when you go in with a movie, you have your VFX shots, you have them all laid out. You know what I mean? You go and say, this is exactly what I want, and then you set it and forget it. You know what I mean? You don't. What Marvel does is they come back and they go, all right, we did reshoots and we need this, we need 4 digital outfits and all created and put on these 4 people in 2 weeks. It's like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like, I think that's the issue. And yeah, I don't know how much I don't know if just paying people more solves the problem, but they certainly just need to kind of rework that whole side of the industry, I think. Because again, it's a big part of it now. And I think it's again, the same thing on the video game side. It's like it gets left. It just seems like it's such an in-demand job that like they're like, well, anyone wants to do this job, so like they'll get treated like shit to do it. It's like, no, dude, that's not how this works. And again, you see this in the video game side too. It's
oh, you mean like when they have Red Hood jumping around like that across like buildings, like he has powers that he can do something like that. I'm fine with that Gotham Knights game, but like that was kind of like, what are we doing here? Who greenlit that Red Hood had these powers now all of a sudden?
Yeah, again, anytime you're done with those like VFX or high demand job where like people think that they want to like do it, and the power is in the company, right? Because they can hire and fire whoever they want. There's always some Joe Schmo to step in line and be like, I'll make 150 couches, digital render a bunch of couches and shit for whatever. I don't care. Like, as long as I'm making a movie or as long as I'm making video games, you know what I mean? So it's going to be an issue until they can figure out a way to unionize that stuff and get them all paid.
I agree.
The pandemic hurt. Yeah. It just compounded it. It was
Yeah,
always an
probably
issue.
probably
It made it worse.
expose the issue probably more than anything else, right?
Exactly.
Probably, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah. So I think for Nick and I have said this time and time again, if you're in the business of a CGI based media company, then maybe you should invest in your CGI department there and maybe show some support to them. Ant-Man Quantumania feels like a real linchpin for all of these announcements, based on all of these announcements here. And this is my perfect segue into this question. I know you were privy to some of the early reviews, maybe some info early on. You said it was going to be pretty wild, if I remember that tweet correctly. Now that we're here at this point, what should we expect from Ant-Man Quantumania kind of furthering along this overall MCU storyline?
So, like Thor Ragnarok, Ant-Man Quantumania is going to be kind of an off-world movie. So it takes place primarily in the quantum realm, and we're going to get to see that little. I don't know if this was intentional, but remember that little city that was in the quantum world? Yeah. So apparently, the plot is that Bill Murray's character, his Krylar, I think is his name.
Right.
Krylin, something like that. He's basically like the ruler of that city, right? So, and that city is like full of like alien monster people. They was described to me as like, this is finally their opportunity to show like the Steve Ditko-esque like monsters that like would always have kind of the MCU pages. So, eventually, full of that world, Kang has to comes to the city and is like, this is going to be my home base of operations. I need to take over the quantum realm to be able to access all these points in time. And then so the crux of the movie pretty much becomes that Ant-Man and Co get sucked into the quantum realm because what's Janet? No, who's the mom?
Janet Van Dyne. Yeah, you had it.
Yep. Yeah, Janet, like it's still kind of connected to the quantum realm in some way, and she can kind of like either sense this is happening or Krylar is messaging her. I guess her and Krylar like had a
relationship. Have a thing.
Like, I think he thinks they had a thing, but she's like, nah, we were just like I just had to be here. So like it's kind of that situation, and then yeah, so Kang comes. So then Ant-Man has to work with Krylar to kind of defeat Kang, and then MODOK is there, and MODOK's kind of Kang's right-hand guy, and then shenanigans ensue, and it ends on a pretty massive cliffhanger, and I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
So when you bring up MODOK, I mean, sorry, did you say MODOK or did you say Kang? I spaced out for a second.
He said MODOK.
You just said okay. So with MODOK, like when it comes to the CGI stuff, have you heard anything about how he looks? Because that's one, like there are some characters that easily kind of translate to CGI. Like Hulk has translated pretty well, gotten better over the years. I know we have the concerns about She-Hulk to some extent, but like MODOK's one I just look at is like how in the world can you do him outside of animation whatsoever? But have you heard anything about how he looks so far?
I don't know if you saw there was the trailer leaked, so you could see him in the trailer. He looks like I'm trying to describe it. I mean, I don't. Again, this is like blurry trailer footage, and it was kind of described to me as well. He looks like a coffee can with arms and legs.
Okay,
that's probably accurate though.
I think he's mostly metal. Like I don't think he has a human face. I think he has a metal face. He's mostly inorganic. I think he's also. I'm pretty sure 99. And in fact, I got in trouble for. I think I said this on this podcast. But I'm pretty sure he's played by Corey Stoll.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah. I think that's been like confirmed elsewhere since. So we got to get the hashtag Casey was right going.
Well, I mean, again, what's got confirmed since last time? We got Nova got confirmed. We got there was another.
I believe Midnight Suns, right? Or was that too early?
Well, Midnight Suns came out in that leaked trademark report, so I'm sure it's on their list of things that they're making.
He's had quite a few things confirmed on here. The one that always stands out to me is X-Men 97. That's the one.
Yeah.
But
and then the one I'm waiting on still is World War Hulk. Everyone asks me like, "What's going on with World War Hulk?" I have no idea. As far as I know, you won't know anything until after She-Hulk, and that's kind of the point.
Exactly. So, I think that would be kind of giving you a good idea of where Hulk is going to go from there. And again, that seems like a show that's going to have a lot of different cameos in there, and even some of the promos. I think there was a Johnny Blaze poster in the background from some YouTube sites that I was seeing, in some of the promos there. So it looked like it just seems like a show, like you mentioned, kind of breaking the fourth wall, sitcom type of thing. it feels like it's going to be ripe for that type of cameo type of show. And do I feel off on that, or yeah, what do you think?
Sorry, my kid was asking me if her friends could come over. What did you say about She-Hulk?
Oh no, that's definitely much more important. But no, what I was saying is like, do you think this is going to be a cameo-driven show?
She-Hulk, yes.
Yeah.
Ant-Man, no.
Okay. All right. Now
So-
let's.
Yeah, and
No,
I think
go ahead,
again, I think she says that in that trailer. She's like, "Oh, this isn't going to be a cameo-driven show, except for Daredevil and blah 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 and Wong and Glenn." And again, another thing I think that got confirmed when the She-Hulk trailer is Blonsky is a self-help guru.
He's a self-help guru.
Yeah, so if you go back, or I don't think this was in the featurette, but in the background there's like a Tony Robbins-esque like poster of him. And he's like, it has like a saying or whatever. Which is just something again I mentioned on this show is like he's like going around trying to like rehabilitate his image and try to.
Oh, there we go. There,
Yeah,
I like that. All right, so I can see that. All right.
So Casey, when you say it's cameo driven, though, does that mean like it's going to be most? I know we're going to see Daredevil and some other characters maybe we haven't seen in a while, like an Abomination. But is there a chance that there are any characters that we haven't seen in the MCU that we would care about?
Tons. Not that you care about. I mean, sorry, I got too close on you. Not that you care about. No, but
Okay.
I mean, like they've definitely gone to like the Marvel. Remember those giant encyclopedias you could like get at Costco? It had like every single Marvel character from like A to Z in it. Yeah, they definitely went back to like the Z's and like are pulling things out of there. So like it's definitely like a monster of the week type of thing. You know what I mean? Like every week's a new case or whatever. So then you'll have someone attach that case. And yeah, you're going to see a bunch of weird MCU characters that you probably never thought you would see.
So now, of course, we hear about Daredevil, right? He's coming back, and obviously we've seen Kingpin. We've seen both the characters reprise those roles. With this one, this would be a spot where you could possibly introduce some of those other characters if since Charlie Cox is involved. Have you heard anything about any of the other characters reprising their roles from the Netflix shows?
I mean, there's just been rumor. Every character's been rumored at this point, except for Finn Jones. I think it's just because people don't like him. But
That's tough.
I mean, at this point, everyone's been like, yeah, John's coming back, and Jessica, and what's in now. Christine Ritter, I am starting to like kind of raise my eyebrow because she just signed on to star in another show like last week. So I find it hard to believe that she was going to come back to the MCU in any other capacity other than like a bit part here and there. But apparently the rumor is that in She-Hulk, Daredevil is trying to find Jessica Jones. That's why he goes to She-Hulk.
Oh,
He's trying to find Jessica Jones. Okay, well.
But again, that's just a rumor.
Okay.
How about forgetting Sarah Marshall there playing the Thing in a cameo role? Is there anything to that?
That was as far
Jason
as I'm
Segel?
told. That's 100% false.
100% false. Okay. I think he could play a good Thing, so that's disappointing, but okay.
And again, I don't think they have casted anybody from the Fantastic Four yet.
Oh, really? Okay. So 'cause I know there was a Reddit leak there for a while that was going to, ahead of San Diego Comic-Con, that was going to have all the castings, right? I think it was the guy from You playing Mr. Fantastic, and then Giancarlo Esposito as Professor X and all that stuff, right? So, okay, so we can kind of put that to bed.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they'll announce a director and all that, or at the same time, but they need to find someone to make that movie before they start casting it, I think. And apparently they're still looking for that as well.
So one
yes,
movie
they reached out to Steven Spielberg. That was definitely true. He sounds like he denied it or turned it down, but
see, I would have loved that. Getting Spielberg on there, and again, the other rumor theory was to go do it like a period piece in the 50s and then kind of place them out of time or something. Like, I thought that could be very, very cool as well.
Again, maybe this is spoilerly, but if what I heard about, or I guess again, if what we've all heard about Wakanda Forever is true, then the Fantastic Four are out there already. They've existed for some time.
Right, with the possible mid-credit, end-credit spoiler scene there.
Yes. Again, if it's described the way I think it is, or if it's true, the way it was described to me, and it plays out the way it does, I mean, that person has seemingly been around for at least a couple of years in the background doing things.
Would
which
that
means that the people-
include possibly Sonny Birch and you not is
That is
Ulysses
exactly what that
Claw,
would
right?
include.
Yeah, is that the
Yeah,
same
so-
thing? Okay.
Nice.
Same
Wow.
thing. Same thing. So yeah. So again, like I don't know if that's the case, then again that goes back to what Kevin Feige said earlier in the month where he said, hey, the Fantastic Four movie isn't going to be an origin.
Mhm.
Like we're not going to retread that ground. So again, they're already out there somewhere doing something. I don't
like
know.
that
I don't
a
know how you
lot.
get them, but I will say this again. I feel like there is a way to introduce them via Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and the way that movie ends. I think there's a way you can kind of weave the Fantastic Four into that storyline, and then again you get the Kang confrontation. But I don't know if that plays out because again, I assumed that they would use the end of Ant-Man as the origin point for the Fantastic Four, but it does not sound like they're doing that. Unless Ant-Man takes place, I guess, right after the snap or something. I don't know. Or there's a time gap between Ant-Man and Wakanda Forever.
I have a feeling that Ant-Man was going to lead into Fantastic Four in some way, shape, or form. So I'm hoping that comes up. I hope I don't get my hopes up there too much. You mentioned Black Panther. Let's stay there for a moment. We get the introduction of Namor, which I thought the trailer was awesome. We talked a little bit about it last week's pod, kind of the running in of Bob Marley right into the Kendrick Lamar verse. I thought it was very cool. Ryan Coogler knows how to cut a trailer.
So
what do you think about it?
I heard the guy who cut that trailer, by the way, and they had a completely different trailer locked and done. And then like 2 weeks before the Comic-Con, Ryan Coogler brought that song to them and was like, and then they recut the entire trailer around that song.
Damn.
That's even more impressive because that you get goosebumps, watching that play out there. And again, I'm really excited for this whole Atlantis take on Namor and everything like that from Marvel. Is this? Do we expect him to be a mutant? Is that someone they're going to be playing around with their origin and the background a little bit, or what should we expect from Namor?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about the mutant thing concerning him. I would assume so because otherwise, how do you explain the winged feet?
Right.
But again, I don't know how they play that. I think he is a descendant of someone who is from land and the sea. That's why his skin doesn't turn blue when they're on the ocean or when they're out of the ocean. If you notice in the trailer, when the Atlanteans are underwater, their skin is normal. When they go out of the water, it turns blue. His doesn't do that for some reason. So I think we'll get some explanation. And yeah, maybe they do play him as the first mutant, quote unquote.
Which would be fitting because isn't that he was the first mutant in the comics, was he not?
He was the first mutant in the comics, yes.
Yeah.
Well, besides Apocalypse, I guess.
Right.
Which was retconned later.
Right, of course, yeah. First appearance of a mutant in any capacity, obviously as a villain first too. But with all that, Casey, I mean, outside of the people who we've seen in these trailers that we know about is going to be in these movies that we've discussed on here, are there any other like major players that you think are going to slide in as a cameo or have some significant role in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, or do we pretty much know the players and that's it?
Do you want me to spoil it?
I mean, we're here
we're spoiler.
I guess this is if you're on the internet and you've been around for the past week, the rumor is it's Victor Von Doom shows up in the post credit scene.
Yeah,
right.
That the character. So the plot of Wakanda Forever, if people don't know, centers around Riri. Oh my god, I hate that name. Riri Williams. And what she does is she kind of invents a device that's able to find vibranium, right? So she invents this device. Lake Bell runs a research team for the government, and she's using this device to find the government or to find the vibranium. Where they're drilling for vibranium is somehow affects Atlantis or whatever they're calling it, Tulacha. They're calling it some weird name. It's not called Atlantis. It's like Tulatacon or something. So it affects that area, and that's what kind of starts the conflict, right? And then the idea is Namor wants to go after Riri and destroy her and the device so no one can drill and find vibranium again in the ocean. And the Wakandans feel an obligation to protect her because she's one of the kids that kind of came out of their programs in the inner cities or whatever. So she's like this MIT genius. And I'm pretty sure she's remember at the end of Black Panther, where they were like, we're going to build centers. I think she's one of those kids, you know what I mean? So she has a relationship with them in that way. A lot of stuff goes down. Like again, by the end of this movie, Okoye isn't part of the Dora Milaje anymore. And
why would that be? Is she taking up some other mantle of sorts?
Do you know? Yeah, I was going to ask.
At some point, I know she doesn't. But at some point, I think in the movie there becomes a conflict within Wakanda and the people of Wakanda, where some say that they shouldn't be protecting Riri, and they shouldn't be worrying about her, and they should be worrying about the continent and Namor's attack on the continent. And I think she kind of goes against that at some point. She does something to piss off the royal, and she ends up getting kicked out of the Dora Milaje. And then, but again, we know this because there's supposed to be a Dora Milaje show starring her, and why would that be? Why would she have her own show? Oh, because now she's on her own, kind of figuring out her place in the world. Makes sense.
Okay.
So Casey,
go ahead.
Do you know who is Black Panther by the end of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever?
I don't. So I've been told two different things, and so my source directly told me it would be M'Baku, but I think there's confusion there, because I think what happens is I think one person takes up the throne of Wakanda.
This is what the
other person takes up the mantle of Black Panther.
Right, that makes sense.
So I think this is there seems to be confusion from everybody, because again, I've talked to other scoopers and some say no, I've heard M'Baku takes it, and no, I've heard Shuri takes it, and we all know that the actress Lupita Nyong'o had or which one had issues?
I think it was Letitia Wright. Letitia
Wright. It's whatever. Yeah, whoever had the issues with the COVID stuff, like maybe they rewrote her scene to and switch out. But I don't know. So I don't think we'll know until the movie comes out, or at least until there's a more recent test screening that gets leaked. But again, I've heard both things from reliable people on both sides. So I could not tell you for sure who comes out in the end. Like again, my source told me it was M'Baku. I could totally see that being a messaging thing, and him thinking not just the leader of Wakanda, but also Black Panther. So I don't know if there's a separation there.
Well, we got a question from Bravo Vince while we're on the subject of Black Panther. Does it set up anything with the Thunderbolts at all? And then with this looming post-credit scene of Doctor Doom, does he play a role in Thunderbolts, or is that going to be more of like a ground level?
I have no idea. I don't think they've written Thunderbolts yet, so I don't think they know either. But
okay.
I think the idea between the post-credit scene is that this character has been here for longer than we think he has, and B, he's been pulling the strings on some of these other characters that we thought maybe that we knew that there was someone in the background, but we never kind of knew who. You know what I mean? Like there's always this idea of the benefactor, right? Like who's this benefactor individual? Like who is this person? We never kind of figured it out. Hopefully that's who this is. And again, I think the end credit scene, if we're just spoiling shit, I believe the end credit scene is Dr. Doom meeting with the Lake Bell character, and it kind of revealing not only him, but the fact that she was working for him this entire time, and that maybe he was trying to get the vibranium for himself.
I like that. I like that a lot here.
Yeah. Right. Remember, there's this government power vacuum too, like because Nick Fury's gone, they're gonna have to deal with the General Ross aspect that now that he's passed away. Val's entered the arena. It's like there's all these different kind of government agencies that are gonna start kind of vying for these superheroes and their place in this act. So I do kind of wonder how that all plays out in Thunderbolts. But I think Val is the key, the linchpin of the Thunderbolts. I think she's the one that's going to be behind that team. I think again, I don't know if this is a spoiler, or I don't think it's a spoiler, but it was relayed to me that they knew that William Hurt didn't have much time left. And so that he would not be able to fulfill his obligations in that role for as long as they wanted. So I think that introducing Val was their kind of way of fixing that, future-proofing that problem. And again, it wasn't. He seemed to let them know, saying, "Hey, I have this health issue. Like, let's not
Oh, that's
extend my
tough.
contract
I
for
would
6
have
more
loved to see
movies.
Thunderbolt Ross in there. It's too bad there.
But again, I think the way they deal with that is he dies off screen or whatever, and then the team is dedicated to his efforts with the Soviet Accords and all
okay.
this stuff. You know what I mean? So
The return of the Sokovia Accords, then. Awesome.
yeah, but again, who the villain is and all that, I have no idea. I have no idea what they're doing with the Thunderbolts. I don't know how you make that work. It sounds like they are trying, from the guy they hired to direct it, it definitely sounds like that they're going for a Suicide Squad vibe with
Yeah.
that movie. Like,
Yeah.
at least visually, like I think the guy was like, he's like this super hyper visual, like music video director kind of type of thing. So it'll be interesting to see what that movie looks like. But my guess it's going to be there, kind of like Smoking Aces, Suicide Squad kind of thing, which I know a lot of people don't like that comparison because it's not exactly the same, but
it's gonna be compared no matter what. That's gonna be inevitable there. You alluded to some recent trademark leaks, and maybe this ties in my ultimate question of what's going to be coming up in D23 in the fall in early September here. But what do you make of those recent trademark leaks for potential properties, i.e., Avengers: Eternity War, Celestials: End of Time, Nomad jumps out at me, and then Midnight Suns that we referenced earlier.
So it's hard to tell, right? So I think what happened was the initial leaks came out, and it was for those things that were real. Like it was for Captain America: New World Order, and it was for Kang Dynasty. And honestly, I thought they were fake. So I was like, no one's gonna name a movie fucking Kang Dynasty. Get out of here. Well, was I wrong? So I think what happened was those leaks came out. They were out for like a few hours or maybe half a day, and then those came down and new ones went up. So I don't know how real the new ones are or what we can say. But again, what we can say is we kind of know. We've heard the rumors before. We know what they have building down the line. We know what's coming up. So I mean, are those real? 50-50 shot at this point, right?
Right. Yeah.
Do I think they have an opportunity to make a Nomad thing? Absolutely. Do they have an opportunity to make a Ghost Rider thing? Absolutely. Or Midnight Suns thing? Absolutely. Like, are they building towards those things? I can sure see that. So I don't. But again, I don't know how much that is like. And apparently Marvel is well aware of this, and they do leak shit like on purpose.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, they do try to fake people out. They do try to stump journalists and all these things and try to get shit out that it's not real. So, again, other sites have run reports based off of rumors, and they're legitimate sites. Like Production Weekly is a legitimate production site, but a lot of times, a lot of things in those production listings are also it's real information mixed with information they just got off of like some random website somewhere.
So what gets the gaps filled in between Fantastic Four to start Phase 6 and then closing it out with Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty?
Well, I imagine there's got to be a Shang-Chi sequel in there somewhere.
With the director, right? Yeah.
Nova's in there somewhere. The Midnight Angels, or whatever the Okoye show's gonna be called, it's got to be in there somewhere.
Okay.
We're missing Armor Wars still, which is still apparently in development.
Everybody needs War Machine.
Are we missing it though?
I think Armor Wars is gonna be so cool, especially if the lead of that show is Sam Rockwell, and I don't see him doing anything else.
Yes.
I don't see why you couldn't bring that back.
If you get Sam Rockwell, I'm in. I'm 100%.
Make it Succession, but with military grade armor, and put Don Cheadle versus Sam Rockwell. I think that seems like a show easy show to me.
I love it.
And again, they seem to be doing these types of things in this new phase, right? Like every movie, every show seems to be something different. It seems to be out of the quote unquote Marvel box. You know what I mean? So I don't see why they wouldn't be like, well, this like we could totally do like a corporate espionage like show, like you know what I mean? Like I could see them totally doing that. So
definitely.
I think they have plenty. They have stuff to fill in. Again, I'm with everyone else. Like, where's World War Hulk fit in? Like with this, like everything else that I talked about that came from that person got announced already. So like, where does this fit in?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I think we mentioned Nova already. Thunderbolts. We don't know when that's coming out. Shang-Chi sequel. We're definitely getting that. No Black Widow sequel. I don't know. I mean, maybe we get a Black Widow something, but with Yelena this time.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a Young Avengers
Yes.
something in there
Mhm.
before we get them in Kang Dynasty, or maybe they are just part of. Maybe that's where they form is in Kang Dynasty. I think they have a ton of options. I don't know what else is coming. Again, my last kind of open thing is World War Hulk, and after that, I really just don't know what's planned. And we all kind of knew about Secret Wars. Anyone that had their ear to the ground kind of knew about Secret Wars. But after that, like,
Right.
it's toss up at this point, I think. And I'm surprised they announced that stuff that early. And I wonder if they only announced that stuff that early is because it leaked out. Like, you know what I mean? I wonder if those trademarks didn't get out there, if they even make that announcement.
That's tough.
Does Marvel ever address the elephant in the room with the celestial that's coming out of Earth now?
I assume at some point there's a mention that it's a resort.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Nice water park or something. I like that. Okay.
What that seems to be their go-to thing is like whenever there's a natural disaster, they just like make it a resort. I mean, Asgard took over a whole section of what looked to be Northern Europe. I mean, I don't. I would assume they would do the same thing. But yeah, I don't know. Again, the Eternals thing seems to be up in the air as well too, right? Like.
Right. Yeah.
We know there's plans
this
for
whole God thing, this whole God segment of the MCU. Oh, sorry. What I was saying, the whole God section of the MCU seems kind of confusing right now. Where it's going to be Hercules, and after everything with Thor, and then you have the stuff with Moon Knight coming in now, and then the Eternals kind of there. I'm all kind of up in the air with all that stuff.
Yeah, again, I don't really know where it goes, and I think again it's building smaller teams to all come together for a bigger fight at the end.
Okay.
So I imagine that while it seems like Hercules is going to be Thor's next antagonist, I like every Marvel thing. I'm sure by the end of that, whatever that thing is, he becomes the protagonist. You know what I mean? So.
Sure. I mean, he's a hero in the comics, so it only makes sense that would continue. But they got the look right, though. At least they got that going for him. But I'm curious, Casey. We mentioned before about what's going on with Thunderbolt Ross. Like, do you have any clue what they're going to do with Red Hulk then? Like, are they going to make a different person become Red Hulk, or are they got to use him, right?
It was told to me that they specifically did not have any plans or make any plans for Red Hulk.
Wow.
For that reason. Because they just didn't feel like that they could give that to somebody else. So now, again, there was a Red She-Hulk at some point in the comic. Does that become Val?
Oh, that could be interesting. I could see that could be a nice pivot there. I can see Julia Louis-Dreyfus done up in some red.
So, I don't know, but it was made clear to me, like, yeah, they kind of knew what the writing on the wall was with him, and that they didn't plan to make any plans around Red Hulk for that.
That was Ross's daughter in the comics who became Red Hulk, right? Or Red She-Hulk? Yeah, I think it was. All right, cutting out on us, Casey, now. He's cutting out on us now, Wes.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think we got a solid 48 minutes out of him. So that's like, that's a new record. Solid, that's a solid amount of information for the people to, sleuth over and go over with a fine-tooth comb here. So maybe if we lose Casey, maybe he comes back here. We'll keep him here. Yeah,
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of in-depth stuff. I mean, like the Doom stuff I know had kind of been, like you guys touched on it originally, whenever we get him back. Casey, if you ever, when you get back in, let us know.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now, yeah.
Sorry, I'm between Wi-Fi and outside. So,
I got you there.
So what I think would be cool is, what if you got remember in Avengers when Banner says, "I'm always angry" or whatever, I'm like punching that thing. What if in Thunderbolts you got that moment, but with Val? I mean, this whole time she's been the Red Hulk. She's always been the Red Hulk.
That would be really cool.
But she's been holding under her vest, and she's only going to bring it out when, with a Thunderbolt where her team has lost, and she has to come in and kind of save the day. I think that would be a cool reveal for her. And
get behind that.
At the end of the day.
Man, little poetic justice too. Kind of completing the circle there. I think that's well done. I would love that.
What other government agent who's running a super soldier program is not going to fucking use it on themselves at some point. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yep, it
You don't
makes
think
perfect sense.
you don't think if Ted Cruz was put in charge of the fucking Thunderbolts, he's not injecting himself with super soldier serum every chance he gets? Like
Right.
that guy, you know what I mean? So like, it's gonna happen. So I assume that's what they'll do with Val.
But see, that's what I needed to hear from you, because I understand, not like I think I mean, they could have recast Thunderbolt Ross, but I understand that their approach on that. But to not have Red Hulk in the mix at all, that would have been a little bit like, what are we doing here? But you have other opportunities to do it for sure.
I think too, Marvel really just wants to avoid recasting things at all costs. You know what I mean?
We're
all
seeing
costs.
that,
They really want to kind of have that cohesion of a universe, and every time you recast, it kind of breaks that. You know what I mean? Kind of there's a little like break in that cohesion a little bit. And I mean, it may not be intentional or whatever, but
somewhere Terrence Howard is motherfucking us.
I know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I mean, so I think that they're going to try to always. And again, I don't think that's why they recast Black Panther. You know what I mean? I mean, there was certainly a situation where they could have waited and they could have recast and then done that whole thing. But I think it was more important to them to like, let's have this live in a universe. Let's have this reflected in the universe, and we'll kind of just move on from this.
So
and treat it the best way we can.
So we haven't said that, like, right? We obviously, no one would ever expect Drax, right, to get recast, because Dave Bautista, that is his character, end of discussion, no matter what, even though he's going to be moving on. And we know James Gunn is moving on after Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as well. Do you expect that we're like gonna see that, like, a new Guardians team? Is it going to still involve characters from the original Guardians team, or are they all kind of going to get thrown out of the mix? Like, what are you hearing? Because all we talk about is X-Men, like, off the top, but what is going on with this team that we've fallen in love with since they hit the big screen?
I think that team is done. Like, I think James Gunn is done, and I think that team is done. And I think if they continue with any type of Guardians thing, it'll be rebranded maybe as like Guardians of the Galaxy, like Annihilators or something. And you bring in like a whole another team of people, or you somehow go to convince Sylvester Stallone to lead another Guardians of the Galaxy movie and kind of use the original, because he had Astro Vance and all those guys with him, right?
Yep.
So, so I imagine you have that option too, but again, I don't know. It seems like a.
So you think Rocket, like, we're not seeing any more of Rocket, the Groot?
I don't know about that. I think you could definitely see more of those characters down the line. I assume one or more of them will die in this movie.
Right.
I don't think it'll be Groot. I don't think it'll be Star-Lord. So I think your options are Drax, Rocket. And again, but those are perfect kind of things to their arc, right? You know what I mean? Like,
well, and I had heard that this was going to be kind of like a Rocket-centric. We kind of get his backstory. It's going to be kind of depressing in that sense.
It is a very Rocket-centric movie. The villain is Rocket's villain. It's the
High Evolutionary.
Like, I said this on this podcast last time. Yeah, it's the High Evolutionary.
Yep.
So he's the one who's essentially created Rocket. And again, we've seen set pictures that we're going to go to that weird planet that he lives on with all like animal how do you say that? Anamorphic.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you nailed it.
Anamorphic people. So like we know that's kind of going to be the plot, and I assume that we'll meet. What's his girlfriend's name? Isn't there a girl Rocket? Isn't it Lila or Layla?
Yeah,
or Layla the sea otter. I don't know. There'll be other, but I assume that there'll be other.
He's a rabbit buddy too. Lady Lila is the girlfriend.
Yeah, so I think we'll get more of that stuff. And again, I think the idea is like going to show like, hey, maybe he's not the loneliest creature on the planet or in the universe or whatever. I'm with you. I hope he doesn't die. I would rather all of them die and you save Rocket.
Yeah,
if it were my choice, like kill everybody.
Rocket's got to go. I'm a big Rocket fan, but you can't have this backstory and just build up for him, and then
I think it comes down to like how much can we keep paying Bradley Cooper to do voice work?
I know it can't be more than Vin Diesel.
To not sound like anything else. But I think Vin Diesel will do anything to say he's in a Marvel movie.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So enough Marvel here. We're going to be cognizant of your time as we wrap up here. And I think that only really deserves one question. What the hell is going on with DC here? We just get this like 10-year roadmap of what to expect from Marvel, and then we get a Shazam: Fury of the Gods trailer with a Black Adam trailer, and they don't even interact, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, again, I don't know how to explain this to people without people getting upset at me, but WB and DC and Marvel, they're not the same. They're not even ran the same way. They're not. They don't operate the same way. They don't function the same way. Like you're never going to get that from DC. And I think and at the time that we did, they fucked it up royally. The one time we got that from DC, I don't think anything ever came out of that announcement. I would have to go look back and see, but maybe Justice League, that was it.
Right. Yeah.
So, and again with the San Diego stuff, like I was hopeful because I agree. I think that Warner Brothers and I think DC and I think the fans, they need something. They need like some type of messaging to say, hey, we're here. This is what we're doing. Like here's what we're building towards. But they didn't get any of that. They got a New Line panel because let's not forget too that Shazam and Black Adam are technically under New Line, so not really even affiliate, not directly under WB.
Interesting.
So that's probably that again. So that was that made me very cautious that Cavill was showing up. Like why would he show up to a New Line panel essentially, and then why would The Rock? And you saw how he entered the stage.
Right.
Why would he let Cavill come in and upstage him? And that would be the only thing people would have been talking about. They would have. I mean, I even think it would have outshined Marvel at that point. You know what I mean? Like Henry Cavill coming back.
That was leading all the buzz coming into Comic-Con for DC. I thought that was like the big thing.
I think it really hurt them because I think a lot of people expected that. I don't think it was ever going to happen. I don't think they have a deal with Cavill. They may be trying to get a deal. They have been trying. They wanted to keep Ben. They wanted to keep Cavill. These dudes have been the one saying no. It's not been WB. WB has had to been reactionary because they lost Ben Affleck, because they lost Cavill. Like that's why we're getting this weird Flash movie with Keaton. They wanted that to be a Batfleck and Flash movie. They wanted Batfleck to stick around and be the Nick Fury or whatever, but he said no. So they have to redo all this other shit. And so I think we do know what they're doing. I think there's a certain segment of the fans who don't want to accept what they're doing, and I think that I saw a graphic out there of like, here's all the stuff that WB has in development that's for DC. It's a ton of shit, but the problem is the stuff that's on that list again is not what a certain segment wants to see on that list. So they want to come out and say, oh, this is getting canceled, or this is a mess, or this is a disaster, or they don't know what they're doing, blah 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 blah. And again, it came out last week that Ben Affleck was going to come up again, show up again in Aquaman 2. Well, why are they having to do that? Because originally Aquaman 2 was going to come out after The Flash, right? So they had written a part for Keaton to show up in Aquaman 2 and give this big exposition dump about a B plot in the movie. But since that movie now comes out before The Flash, they tested that movie 3 times with Keaton in the role and in the thing, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is this guy doing here? We don't understand this." So the decision was then to, hey, call Ben Affleck, let's have him shoot this one scene because we had to move this stuff. So again, there is a plan in place. They are trying to maintain as much continuity as they can, but they have to get to a certain point in their filmography before that plan can start to unravel and unveil itself without them just saying, this is exactly what we're doing.
Gotcha.
So I think that's kind of where they're at. And yes, have they dropped the ball on Superman? 100% they have dropped the ball on Superman. Have they fucked up their deal with Cavill? 100% they fucked up their deal with Cavill. But at the same time, I feel like that this company, where their biggest flaw is, they either need to explain the plan, explain to a certain fandom that what they want is not happening, or they need to be explained and just say, we're rebooting this entire thing. Because what happens is every time that there's any buzz about Cavill or there's any buzz about Henry, it comes along with all this other shit that's like, oh, this means Snyder's coming back and they're gonna throw away everything. The Flash is getting reshoot. They're gonna reshoot the Batgirl. They're gonna put Ben Affleck in both of those, and Snyder's coming back and he's directing JL. He's gonna do Man of Steel 2 and JL 2 and 3, and it's gonna be Snyder movies for the next 10 years, baby. And it's like, no, that's not. And I think WB does this to themselves. They do this to themselves because they could have ripped off the Band-Aid They could have said, we're done with this shit. We're not doing this anymore. We're rebooting. Or they could stop fucking putting Affleck in these. You know what I mean? They could stop bringing these people back for these little bit parts here and there. Because it's confusing. Like, again, Affleck has showed up in, let's see, he cameos in Aquaman. He cameoed in something else.
He's in Flash.
Yeah.
He cameos in Aquaman. He shows up in the Flash. But he was minus. Batman was minus. Wasn't in the Suicide Squad thing, right?
He was in the Suicide
Quickly,
Squad.
yeah. He arrested Will Smith there. Yeah.
No. I'm sorry. Not Peacemaker.
He was mentioned in Peacemaker, but not mentioned,
but not shown, right?
Yeah.
Right.
He wasn't part. So when the Justice League shows up, who do we see? We see Superman. We see. How many times have we seen Superman without a face?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
it's like
Shazam.
It's crazy. It's like just fucking. And again, that's because they want Cavill to come back. They are leaving the door open. They're saying at some point maybe we can come to a deal and we can put this back in. We don't have to recast and piss a bunch of people off. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think they're shooting themselves in the foot because, again, from what I've heard from Black Adam test screenings, there is another faceless Superman cameo.
Oh my God! See, this is the thing. Okay, so Wes and I are not. We don't care about the people who have that one certain fandom that you argue is not a fandom, it's something else entirely. We don't care about that. We don't have that vested interest. But at the same time, where I want DC to come out and start kicking ass, I get what you're saying. Like, we have to in some way be patient about it. But at the same time, it just feels like there's no rudder on this ship. And that's what's kind of mind blowing and all this. Like, I get they tried to rush things a while ago, but we talked about it, I think last time you were on, where they're just going to try and do like individual stories and have them be their own thing, like they did with the Batman, or it's its own thing. Yes, you have like Catwoman involved and some other characters. I'd be totally fine with that, but they haven't really have they come out and said that directly that that's what they want to do?
It was kind of reiterated by The Rock at Comic-Con. Remember, he was kind of like saying, I'm building my corner of the universe. Like, I'm building a JSA universe, or that's what we're leading to in my section of the universe. So yeah, I think that when you go and see Batgirl, or when you go and see Blue Beetle, or when you go and see everything but the Flash, I don't think it's going to be about the wider universe. It's going to be about those characters and what they're experiencing at that time. Whereas Marvel is about the wider, that whatever happens no matter what happens in their solo movies, it's about the wider universe. It's about expanding that universe. I just don't think that's DC's focus. I don't think that's ever going to be their focus. And I think that they get a lot of shit for not being a shared universe. Like, their shared universe is shitty. It's fucking garbage. Yeah, it is, because they're not Marvel. They don't have this vertical where everything is in one department. You know what I mean? So like, they're spread out all over multiple departments, over multiple studios. It's a kind of a mess. And granted, they are going to the rumor is they're going to try to find a DC head and bring everything into focus. But that's going to take time, and that's going to take time for that person to acclimate and figure out what they want. And I don't see them throwing away, probably $2 billion worth of projects just so they can like start all over again. I think they're just going to try to stay the course and use what they have to course correct, which is what they've always done.
Yeah.
Like again, I don't see a scenario where they reshoot the Flash movie and Keaton's not Batman anymore, and they don't come out of that in a new universe where there's no Superman and there's no Ben Affleck Batman. I don't see that happening.
Okay.
Right? Can I see a scenario where, by the grace of God, Cavill comes back and they have a script they can use and they can do a pseudo sequel to Man of Steel? I certainly do see that, but I don't see how you fit that into the current DCEU. I think you do that as a side thing, and I think if you want to bring those characters back into the fold in some way, you have a crisis event.
Yep, that does resolve a lot of things. And I also know you just want to see Henry Cavill keep playing The Witcher, because I know you love that series like I do.
I do love The Witcher.
Oh, such a good series. So last thing, Casey, because like Wes said, we respect your time. I don't really, but Wes does. So obviously we know that you are locked in on DC and Marvel stuff, but we've seen the success of The Boys. Obviously Invincible was a big hit in the first season. Paper Girl's going on right now. We saw The Old Guard on Netflix, and there's been plenty of other stuff as well in recent years. do you from the people that you talk to within the industry, is there a sense that you get at all that we're going to see more and more indie comics start to get picked up for movies or shows, not just optioned, but see those projects kind of come to fruition? Because it seems like, other than like Why the Last Man, all the recent stuff, and I know that's actually a Disney property, DC property, all the other indie comic stuff has been very successful in recent years.
Well, the Jupiter's Legacy.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that was a nightmare. Yes.
But yeah, I do. And again, I think it's just because the medium is so, they're so intertwined together. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to say that, but like, it's so easy to it's so easy to pitch a comic book as a series or as a movie, right? Like, all the work's done for you. So I think I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all. In fact, I think they are doubling down on it. I think they are going to comic creators and optioning works right off the bat. Like, if a comic's a hit, I mean, I think what was Keanu's comic?
Berserker. Yeah.
Option for a show.
Yeah, that was more written for a show. I haven't read some of that.
So yeah, I mean, but Mark Miller, I mean, I don't like, how much of his comic books are just show or movie pitches that he just makes a comic book? You know what I mean?
Right.
So like,
they're all Netflix stuff. Yep.
Yeah, and so like I definitely see the Amazon Primes and the Netflixes and these companies that don't have a comic book company that they're attached to pulling these popular indie comic properties. Now the problem is finding one like Invincible that can break that superhero boundary.
Saga.
Saga is the unfilmable. That believe me, Saga has been optioned, has been pitched, has been developed. It's one of those things that's been deemed unfilmable.
Animated, dude. Animated.
But again, I don't like. How much is animated? And granted, we're in the zeitgeist, but like, it's so hard to get my wife to watch, no matter how good it is.
Sure.
No doubt. I hear you. I'm in that boat. Animated. Yeah.
For sure.
So like,
no doubt.
As much as I'm fine with something animated, I would much rather than put the effort. If they're gonna do Saga, like do it live action. Make it a fucking like that is your modern day Lord of the Rings. Like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're whatever.
100% spot on.
Again, Watchmen was deemed unfilmable at some point too, and eventually they cracked it. So
that's true.
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot more. And again, talk to Scott about this. You guys talk to Scott about all the time. I'm sure Nocterra.
Yep.
Nocterra. I bet you it's already been optioned.
Yep, I believe it has. Yep, Nocterra, and I think Undiscovered Country has been optioned.
I know Undiscovered Country has. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
And again, you talk to Donnie Katz about any of those guys who are huge indie right now. Those books are out for a month, and if they do good numbers, they get a call from a studio.
Sure.
And they're just paying them just for the right to hold on to that. They may not ever make anything out of it.
Right.
You know, that's what a comic book writer kind of wants. You know what I mean? I met, as long as I've been doing this, there are very few, I would be safe to say none, of comic book writers who I've met that are satisfied with just being a comic book writer.
Right.
It was always in the goal to do movies or TV. I mean, Rick Remender is a perfect example of this too. I mean, the guy fucking slaved over comics to eventually run his own TV show, which fucking another show like Shame, Deadly Class is so good. I don't know how, why that got canceled, but
you got Tokyo Ghost coming out though as a movie, so I can't wait for that one. That'll be good.
That's good. That's HBO, right?
I think so. Yeah, Sean Murphy drew that, so I'm a sucker for Sean Murphy. But yeah, okay, good to know. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that everything's getting optioned. I mean, I hear that, but then I hear sometimes it's slowing down, but that's good. I mean, there's so many awesome stories in the indie circle.
It's just so easy. Like I said, it's like for the amount of time it takes to develop something. When you option a comic book, you have half of the work done for you. I mean, you even have you could literally take a trade and just. I mean, what's a trade? How many pages is it?
It's 6 issues, so 22 a pop. That's what, like 120 plus.
So 120 minutes. So you could take a trade and add 50 pages. Or 120 minutes is 2 hours. I'm saying you could take a trade and make a 2-hour movie out of it, just panel for panel, bum 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 bum. Like, you know what I mean? It wouldn't take. That's your storyboard essentially. I mean, granted they don't do that a lot, but it's not, there's not a far stretch between the two mediums, and I don't think you're ever going to see this idea of it slowing down. I think it's only going to pick up.
Love it.
Awesome. Hopefully we keep all this good IP rolling into the next other mediums here. Like you said, I think that was very well worded.
Well, I mean, the goal is for them to stop optioning the comics and just hire the comic writer to do the story. And I think again,
just cut out that middle step
we're
there.
seeing that with Remender and Brian K. Vaughan. Those guys are seeming to be breaking that, but I think it should happen more often. Again, I don't see why you're not having Mark Waid write a Fantastic Four movie, or you're not having Dan Slott write Spider-Man movie, or you know what I mean? Why aren't these guys contributing more to live action stuff? Especially when you're the one pulling from their comics. So I mean, look, Ed Brubaker seems to be holding a real grudge about it. So, like, give that guy a fucking Winter Soldier movie.
We got somebody asking in the chat about getting more Hellboy stuff, and I'll tell you what. After that last one, they should just take a little break.
But again, I want to say that was Mike Mignola's movie.
Yeah,
I think he was heavily involved in that movie, and I think
I can see that
a huge issue.
I can see that though, like that. Like if you read the comics, which I appreciate that movie, but for the average person like Wes, like the average comic book movie fan, like you're not gonna enjoy that all that much because it's just like.
I think it takes so much to make a movie. Like a shitty director can ruin all that, and it sounds like that's what I mean. A lot of times that's what happens. I mean, you have a shitty director come in, you have this vision, you have everybody on board that you want to have on board, and this director comes in and is like, "Fuck that." And then people start hating to work with him, and then you have people who show up to set angry, and it becomes this big shit show, and you know what I mean. And then the movie turns out bad. So again, I think that was the issue. David Harbour pretty much said like, "Yeah, we had a fucking shit time making that movie." You could see it on the screen. So.
All right, Casey, we love having you here. We appreciate your time. Thank you for all the little nuggets that you dropped along the way. Hopefully, there's some people who can get comb through it with a fine-tooth comb. And get some good nuggets out of there. Casey, think about the jet skis. Just think about it.
Believe me, if I had the funds, I would have one. Again, we have a lake that's literally 10 minutes away, and I would love nothing more than just spend my weekends on the lake.
Just get some Kenny Powers action on.
I gotta sell a kid first.
Oh well, okay.
Nick, I heard you were looking for one.
Nope, I'm all set. Bye, Casey.
Free shipping.
See you, brother.
See you, Casey. Thank you.
All right, at the Comics Kid on Twitter too. Comics with an X. But that was awesome.
That's right. Plenty of good stuff here, and it's nice to see him kind of clarify some rumors that have been out there, dispel some other ones that have been out there, as well as dropping some knowledge here as well. So, always good talking to Casey there, but. Hop aboard because the train's about to leave the station from the discharge depot. All aboard! Honk, honk.
So I spent the weekend. I'm going to just jump right ahead. I spent the weekend in Connecticut, but I did get some time to at least watch the first episode of Paper Girls in the first 2 episodes of season 3 of Harley Quinn. Rock solid start to Paper Girls. I have not read this. Dr. Joe talked about it on TLDR, and he gave it a thumbs up. He said it's loyal to the comics and everything like that. I really enjoyed it. And then Harley Quinn, it's more of the same with that show. Awesome stuff. So I'm very excited for both of those. And all of Paper Girls is on Amazon Prime West. So once you give it a look, if you, watch an episode, maybe 2, I think the first episode's like 37 minutes. So not too crazy for you.
Okay.
I'd be willing to do it on the show if you're interested.
Possibly. I can put it on the docket here because I just watched Everything Must Go, a Will Ferrell movie on Netflix. Not your typical Will Ferrell movie. It's kind of like a dark comedy melodrama, and he just plays a drunk sales bro whose life's falling apart. And then he kind of got to build his life up back together. Wife put it on, didn't think I was going to be that into it, and she fell asleep, and I finished the whole thing. So it was pretty good. It was a good movie. Guy gets screwed over though.
I'm seeing the poster right now. I did not know this was like a 2010 movie. Wow, I did not know the name of it.
Yeah, it's probably that feels right. 2010. That was when he was going like Stranger Than Fiction, and there was another movie in there that was kind of serious. I think he did with Kristen Wiig, but he was trying to go that serious route there.
Yeah, the Jim Carrey route. Yeah. Okay. Well,
not everyone. Adam Sandler can do it. Put him in a basketball movie.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, you got Harley Quinn to watch. You got Paper Girls. We got Sandman coming out at the end of this week. That's going to be all on Netflix. So not the we got all that A-list stuff, and I'm all here for this. The quote unquote B-list stuff. Paper Girls is an outstanding series, and Sandman is a legendary series. So give one of them a look. Let me know which one you like the most, and we'll maybe we can do something on the show with that.
Okay, I think we can do that. I think we can work something out there.
Good. I like the sound of that. But now, Wes, it is time for
Shared Universe.
All right, this week in the DSG, hashtag Dork is doing the top 10 original Netflix movies. Mac and Goo. Looks like they're doing a little reflection on Comic-Con 2020. So if you're 2022, excuse me. If you're looking for some more opinions on that, you can check them out. People for Communism podcast. What are they doing, Wes?
I don't know what they're doing. I know last week they did their top 11 SummerSlam events. So I think that was in Boston. This past weekend, SummerSlam.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
I saw one of the Logan brothers. I think it's Logan Paul who was fighting the Miz in one of the events there. Put on a hell of a show. I saw some Twitter clip of him. He was hopping all over the place. There was their Mexican jumping beam.
Wow,
guy looked legit. It was ripped too. So he was probably on the Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, not Chris Pine, Chris Pratt, the HGH diet. They're all on.
I am not a huge fan of the Paul brothers, be it Jake or Logan, but I will say
I respect him.
They do know how to get people to watch whatever the heck it is that they're doing. So definitely good for the boxing game too. I know that, and it's been a little bit weird with them there, but I think boxing game's evolved in a way that it probably should have. Where now we see all those stupid celebrity fights. So yeah, I'll have to find that highlight. I haven't seen that yet.
Oh yeah, it's good. He's jumping all. He's doing everything. He's crashing into the Spanish announcers table. He's jumping off the top turnbuckle. He's doing moonsaults, all that stuff. Very cool.
Moonsaults. Okay. Wow. Now you got me hooked. As for TLDR, like I mentioned, Dr. Joe talked about Paper Girls last week. So if you're interested in learning a little bit about the series, go check that out before watching it. Of course, you have all 8 episodes available on Amazon Prime. This week, though, we're going to be doing the August list. So looking at the comics that are hitting shelves this week, as well as the rest of the month. And I've heard it both ways. That is Doc's other show with Billy D. Their season 4, episode 16 of Psych, I believe, if my math is correct, checking their podcast stream. As for the streamers, Doc's the only one that consistently streams these days. You can check him out at Backcracker on Twitch. Shime someday, with his new occupation or new job, I guess not really different occupation.
I think it's more just a sign that COVID's over.
Oh, that could be
everyone was home streaming, had nothing to do for a while. Everyone's just back to life. That's good.
That is a really good point. Because you want to live in the real world as much as we do enjoy the virtual world from time to time.
Through the ether.
But if you want to find Shime, it's at Shime Time on Twitch, and then for hashtag Dork, whenever they're streaming, it's over on their YouTube page, so you can check them out there. As for us, Wes, we're TBD for next week.
Well, I think we could do, on the topic, we're just talking about Harley Quinn and Paper Girls and Everything Must Go. Maybe we can do, I know you got a busy week next week, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe we could do maybe a best of ranking of the things we've watched this summer.
Okay.
Maybe I like the things that we haven't discussed, the major tentpole stuff.
Oh, yeah. I like the sound of that because I know one
maybe we can even do like a ranker thing. You ever see PCP, Mac and Goo do that sort of thing? Maybe we can have some fun with that.
They do those things. We could attempt to make one of those. I might fuck it up, but we could do that.
It could be a lot. Yeah, it could be. I can't walk and chew gum.
Yeah. But we can talk about it. I think at minimum we can do it on a podcast because we do know how to podcast. That's for damn sure.
Yes, absolutely.
So until next week then.
Yeah, it'll be at the same bat time, the same bat place.